All right, buckle up, folks,
Mm.
because today we're diving headfirst into a world of crispy skin and juicy meat.
Uh-huh.
We're talking Peking duck, and not just any Peking duck.
Right.
We're going all out with Imperial Treasure Super Peking Duck in Singapore.
Oh, yeah, I've heard good things. Definitely heard good things.
You know, you see those pictures online, and you think, okay, is this hype, or is this the real deal?
Yeah, that's the big question. Is it worth is it actually as good as it looks?
Exactly. So that's what we're here to uncover today, right? Is Imperial Treasure Super Peking Duck all it's cracked up to be?
I'm excited to find out. I mean, reading about a restaurant is one thing, but actually, like, experiencing it, the
Yeah.
atmosphere, the service, the whole package, that's what makes a restaurant truly special.
Absolutely. And luckily for us, we've got some intel right here ready to break it all down for our listeners.
Awesome.
So first things first, why is this place considered like the gold standard for Peking duck?
Well, the source we're looking at highlights four main reasons, really.
Okay, lamb on me.
It's all about authenticity,
Mhm.
presentation, quality of ingredients, and then, of course, consistent excellence.
Okay, I like it. They're ticking all the boxes.
Yeah, seems like it.
All right, let's unpack this a bit. Authenticity. What does that actually mean when we're talking about, the duck itself?
So they really emphasize traditional methods at Imperial Treasure. They go the extra mile to achieve that perfect crispy skin and that, like, melt in your mouth, succulent meat.
This is science.
It really is. It's a process that's been refined over centuries, and it seems like Imperial Treasure is dedicated to preserving that legacy.
Yeah, no cutting corners.
No shortcuts. They're sticking to the classics, which I respect.
Okay, so no crazy like fusion twists or anything like that. They're sticking to the original recipe.
Sticking to the OG Peking duck, and you know what else? That commitment extends to the presentation as well.
Oh, okay, tell me more.
They do tableside carving.
Ooh, I love when they do that.
Yeah, it's always such a treat, right?
It's dinner and a show all in one.
Exactly. Who doesn't love a little bit of tableside theatrics?
Makes you feel special.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Okay, so we've got the authenticity, we've got the presentation, but what really gets me excited is quality ingredients.
Oh, absolutely. And Imperial Treasure doesn't disappoint there.
So they're not just like grabbing any old duck,
Yeah.
right?
No way. They source top-tier ducks, like the best of the best.
Okay, got it.
And it's not just the duck. They craft their sauces meticulously. Everything's fresh, the wraps, everything. Every little detail is carefully considered.
So it's like the whole ecosystem around the duck is top-notch, not just the duck itself.
Exactly. It's the whole experience. They're thinking about everything.
I appreciate that. And, well, speaking of excellence, we can't ignore the accolades.
Right. You can't talk about Imperial Treasure without mentioning the Michelin Guide.
Yeah, they've got those Michelin stars, right?
I do. Which, it's not everything, but it definitely means something.
It's a good indicator. It's a
Yeah.
good indicator.
Yeah, it speaks to their consistent quality and their dedication to, well, excellence, I guess, like you said.
Yeah, it's like having a trusted friend vouch for a restaurant before you even step inside.
Exactly.
That makes you feel a little bit more confident.
Definitely.
Okay, but let's be practical here for a second. Michelin stars aside, what are some things we should actually keep in mind before booking a table at Imperial Treasure?
Okay, so first things first, this is a premium dining experience.
Okay, so we're not talking like casual weeknight dinner.
Not really, no. You're paying for the quality, the service, the ambiance, the whole 9 yards.
More like a special occasion kind of place.
Yeah, exactly. Something to celebrate or, when you really want to treat yourself.
Got it. So what else? What else should we know?
Well, because it's so popular, reservations are essential.
Don't just show up and expect a table then.
You'd probably be waiting a while if you did that.
Okay, reservations, check.
Yeah.
Anything else? Anything about the menu or the style of food?
That's a good point. While their commitment to tradition is definitely admirable,
Yeah.
a part of me wonders if they risk being overshadowed by restaurants that are offering, like, more innovative modern takes on Peking duck,
Oh, that's an interesting thought.
Ah!
So for those who are looking for something a little more adventurous on their plate, what are some alternatives to Imperial Treasure?
Well, two places immediately come to mind. Mott 32 and tongue lock. Have you heard of those?
I have, yeah. I've heard those names thrown around, but I'm not super familiar with them.
Okay, so Mott 32, they're really interesting.
Okay.
They use apple wood to roast their duck, which gives it this like really unique smoky flavor.
Oh, that's different.
Yeah, you won't find that at Imperial Treasure. It adds a whole other dimension to the dish.
Okay, so for the smoky flavor fans out there, that might be a game changer.
Yeah, definitely worth checking out if you're into that. Now, tongue lock, they take a bit of a different approach.
All right, how so?
They're known for their like modern interpretations of classic Cantonese cuisine.
So a little more experimental.
Yeah, exactly. They might incorporate modern techniques or like unconventional ingredients, you know?
Okay, so they're not afraid to play around with tradition a little bit.
Not at all. It's definitely a more contemporary take on Peking duck.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so for our listener who's now ready to experience Imperial Treasure, where can they find this culinary haven?
It's in a great location, actually. It's in the Paragon Shopping Center. The address is 290 Orchard Road.
Easy enough to remember. And what about transportation? How easy is it to get there?
Oh, super easy. You've got tons of options. If you prefer public transport, the Orchard MRT station is just a short walk away.
Convenient. What about buses?
Oh, yeah. There are tons of bus routes that stop nearby, including 7, 14, 16, let's see, 36, 65. I can go on.
So no shortage of options there.
Not at all. And of course, if you're driving, Paragon has its own parking garage.
So accessible no matter how you choose to get there.
Yep, they've got you covered.
Okay, perfect. Now let's set the scene for our listener, right? Let's paint them a picture of what they can expect when they step inside Imperial Treasure.
All right, so imagine this. You're on the 5th floor of this like really upscale shopping center, Paragon, and you walk into this refined, spacious room.
I'm listening.
The decor is modern, but with these subtle touches of traditional Chinese elements. It's elegant, but it's not stuffy, you know?
Yeah.
And you immediately get this sense of like luxurious calm.
Ah, that sounds nice. So they've managed to create an ambiance that's both elegant and inviting.
Exactly.
Not always easy to do.
No, it's a delicate balance.
Okay, so we got the ambiance down. What about the service? What can our listener expect there?
Oh, the service is fantastic. I mean, think about having your teacup refilled without even having to ask.
Oh, I love when they do that.
Right, or the staff effortlessly guiding you through the menu, offering recommendations based on, like, what you're feeling.
Yeah, that personal touch really makes a difference.
Yeah, it really does. They make you feel pampered and well cared for, which, you know, is part of the whole experience.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Okay, enough teasing. Let's talk about the star of the show. The Peking Duck. And remember that tableside carving we were drooling over earlier?
Oh, yeah, it's not just practical, it's an art form.
All right, so set the scene. What's it like to actually witness this?
So the chef, right, they come to your table with this beautiful roasted duck.
Okay.
And they expertly carve it right before your eyes, revealing that, like, glistening skin and the succulent meat underneath.
It sounds mesmerizing.
It really is. And everyone always says crispy skin, juicy meat, but, like, how do you describe that beyond those basic words?
Right. Paint me a picture.
Okay, so the skin, it has this incredible crackle, almost like thin glass shattering when you bite into it.
Whoa, okay, I'm getting hungry.
Right, and the meat, it's so tender it practically melts in your mouth.
And then you've got those, like, paper-thin pancakes.
Oh, yeah.
The hoisin sauce, the fresh garnishes.
It all comes together, this symphony of textures and flavors.
Sounds amazing.
And here's a bonus. You can actually customize how you want some parts of the duck prepared.
Wait, really? Tell me more about that.
Yeah, so after they do the initial carving, you can have the remaining meat and bones stir-fried with vegetables, made into a flavorful soup, or even like added to noodles. It's a great way to experience the duck's versatility.
Oh, I like that. So you're not limited to just one preparation.
Exactly. You get to choose your own adventure, in a way.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Now, I know the Peking Duck is the main attraction, but what about the rest of the menu at Imperial Treasure? You mentioned they offer a wide array of Cantonese dishes.
Oh, yes. And this is where their commitment to quality and authenticity really shines, beyond just the duck, I mean.
All right, break it down for me.
So they have a really extensive dim sum selection.
I love dim sum.
Me too. It's perfect for sampling a variety of flavors.
It's like tapas, Chinese tapas.
Yeah, exactly. And their seafood dishes are also incredible, very fresh, delicate preparations. They really know what they're doing.
Okay, so even if you're not a huge duck fan, there are plenty of other options to explore.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And don't forget about the noodle and rice dishes. They're hearty and flavorful, perfect for sharing.
So there's something for everyone.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm sold. I'm officially starving now. I'm ready to book a flight to Singapore.
I know, right? But before we get too carried away with planning our culinary trip, I think it would be fascinating to delve a little deeper into the cultural significance of Peking duck.
Oh, absolutely. We touched on the history briefly, but I'd love to learn more about its journey, from the imperial courts to becoming this global culinary icon.
It's a story that spans centuries. It's really fascinating.
All right, let's take a trip back in time then and explore the evolution of this incredible dish.
Sounds good to me. So we've talked about how Imperial Treasure really emphasizes that classic traditional approach to Peking duck.
Yeah, they're all about keeping those traditions alive.
Exactly, which is amazing if that's what you're looking for, that authentic experience.
Right, but you've already hinted that Mott 32 and Tongue Lock, they kind of offer something a little bit different.
They do. It's like, think of it this way. Imperial Treasure is like listening to a perfectly preserved vinyl record, you know?
Okay, I'm intrigued.
It's that classic, pure experience, the original.
Yeah, the OG.
Exactly. But sometimes you're in the mood for a remix, a new take on a familiar song.
I like that analogy. Okay, so Mott 32 is our remix.
In a way, yeah, their applewood roasting method, it brings this smoky depth to the duck that you just won't find at a more traditional place.
Okay, that smoky flavor, that definitely sounds intriguing. What about Tunlock? What kind of remix are they offering?
Tongueluck is more like a fusion track. They're all about blending traditional Cantonese techniques with modern culinary innovations.
So you might see some unexpected ingredients or plating styles.
Exactly. They're not afraid to experiment, which is really cool if you're, feeling adventurous and want to see how tradition can be reimagined.
I love that. Okay, so we've got our classic experience, we've got our smoky remix, and we've got our fusion track. That's a pretty great lineup for anyone looking to, explore the world of Peking duck in Singapore.
I agree. It's a good starting point for sure. And what's really fascinating is that all three of these restaurants, they're all thriving.
Yeah, you don't see that very often.
No, you don't, which tells me there's an appetite for different approaches, different interpretations, even with something as classic as Peking duck.
It's like they each cater to a different aspect of what people love about the dish, right?
Yeah, exactly. Some people crave that pure traditional experience,
Hmm.
while others are drawn to innovation and, new flavor profiles.
Like, what does authenticity even mean, right?
Right.
We talked about it earlier, but I'd love to, dive a little deeper into that question.
Okay, yeah, let's do it.
Is it purely about sticking to the original recipe and techniques, or is there room for evolution? What do you think?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think it's something that chefs and food lovers are constantly grappling with.
Yeah, it's a debate.
It is. On one hand, there's so much value in preserving those traditional methods, honoring the history and heritage of a dish like Peking duck.
It's like keeping a piece of culinary history alive.
Exactly. But on the other hand, culinary traditions have always evolved over time, right?
They're great.
They've been influenced by new ingredients, new techniques, cultural exchanges.
So it's not necessarily about being static or stuck in the past,
Yeah.
but rather about understanding the essence of the dish
Yes.
and allowing it to breathe and grow in new contexts.
I love that. That's a great way to put it.
So maybe authenticity isn't just about, following a recipe to the letter, but about capturing the soul of the dish, the intention behind it,
I like that.
and allowing it to evolve while still, respecting its roots.
Beautifully said. And I think that's what makes exploring these different restaurants so fascinating.
Yeah.
They each offer a different perspective on what it means to be authentic.
They're all authentic in their own way.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm convinced. I want to try all three.
I know, me too. Maybe we can make that happen.
But, let's say our listener can only choose one. For argument's sake,
Yeah.
what are some key takeaways to help them decide, which Peking duck experience is right for them?
Okay, so if they're seeking that pure traditional experience in a refined setting, Imperial Treasure is the obvious choice.
The classic. Can't go wrong with a classic.
It's the classic for a reason. But if they're looking for something a little more unique, a little more, dare I say, edgy,
Yeah.
then Mott 32 with their applewood roasted duck, that would be an excellent choice.
And for our adventurous eater who's, open to modern interpretations.
Tongue lock all the way. Their innovative approach is bound to surprise and delight. You never know what you're going to get.
Perfect. Okay, so we've covered the bases.
You've got something for every taste.
We've got something for every taste. Now, I know we've been, laser focused on the duck, but I'm curious about the rest of the menu at Imperial Treasure.
Right, there's more to explore.
You mentioned they offer a wide range of Cantonese dishes. What are some of the standouts? besides the duck, of course.
Oh, there are so many good things on the menu. Their dim sum selection is extensive and really well executed.
Oh, dim sum. I could go for some dim sum right now.
Me too! And their seafood is also fantastic, super fresh. They really know how to handle seafood.
So even if you're not a huge duck fan, there are plenty of other delicious options to explore.
Absolutely. Don't feel limited by the duck.
Yeah. And don't sleep on those noodle and rice dishes either.
Oh, yeah, they're so good, hearty, and flavorful.
All right, you've officially convinced me. I need to get myself to Imperial Treasure, ASP.
I know, it's calling our names.
But before we, completely lose ourselves in daydreams of Peking duck and dim sum, I think we need to take a step back and talk about the cultural significance of this dish, right?
Yeah, we can't just talk about the food without acknowledging the history and the cultural context.
Exactly. We talked about the history briefly, but
Mhm.
I'd love to, really dive deep into its journey,
Yeah.
from the imperial courts to becoming this global culinary icon.
It's a fascinating story, and it says a lot about the enduring power of food, right?
Absolutely.
It transcends borders, it connects people across generations.
It's a universal language in a way.
It really is. All right, are you ready to travel back in time?
Let's do it. Take us on a journey through the evolution of Peking duck.
Okay, so picture this. All right, so we're talking Imperial Treasure, this amazing Peking duck experience in Singapore, but
Yeah, all this talk about modern interpretations and smoky flavors.
right, exactly. But let's take a step back for a minute.
Okay, let's rewind the clock.
Let's rewind the clock. Where does this culinary masterpiece even come from? Where does Peking duck begin?
Yeah, how did this whole thing even start?
Right. So the story of Peking duck, it actually goes back centuries.
Oh, wow.
All the way back to the Yuan dynasty in China.
Okay, refresh my memory, Yuan dynasty. When are we talking?
That's the 13th and 14th centuries.
Okay, wow. So this dish has some serious history behind it.
Oh, yeah, some serious history. And back then, it wasn't the elaborate feast that we know and love today.
Oh, real?
It was more about, preserving duck meat,
Oh,
using techniques like smoking and drying.
makes sense. I mean, preservation was key back then.
Absolutely. Keeping food from spoiling, that was a top priority.
Yeah, makes sense.
But then, fast forward a couple hundred years to the Ming Dynasty,
Okay.
things start to get interesting. Peking duck finds its way to the imperial court.
Ooh, fancy.
It becomes a favorite among emperors and, high-ranking officials.
Ah, so that's where the name Peking duck comes from.
There you go.
Yeah.
Peking, the former name for Beijing, the capital city.
Makes sense. So it was like the dish of the capital, the dish of the emperor.
Exactly, and that association with the imperial court, it really elevated the status of Peking duck.
Oh, yeah. Suddenly it's not just food anymore. It's a statement.
Right. It becomes a symbol of luxury, refinement, culinary excellence.
So you're not just eating duck. You're showing off your wealth and your taste.
Precisely. And what's amazing is that even though, empires have fallen and culinary trends have, shifted over time,
Right. Food comes and goes.
Peking duck has remained this beloved dish, not just in China, but, all over the world.
It's true. It's, everywhere.
Everywhere. Which I think says a lot about its enduring appeal.
Yeah, but how did it make that leap,
Yeah.
from the imperial court to, global culinary icon?
Well, as trade routes expanded and cultural exchanges increased, Peking duck started to spread beyond China's borders.
People are traveling. They're trying new things.
Exactly, and it captivated diners with its unique flavors, the textures, the presentation. It's a showstopper.
And I imagine that as it traveled, it probably also evolved.
Oh, absolutely. Taking on new influences and interpretations along the way.
It had to adapt to different palates, different ingredients.
Right, exactly. Just like we were talking about earlier with those, modern takes on the dish in Singapore.
Yeah, each culture, each chef puts their own spin on it.
But they're still honoring those core elements of what makes Peking duck. Peking duck.
That's what's so cool about food. It's not just fuel,
No, it's more than that.
It's a story. It's a journey through time and cultures.
Well said.
And Peking duck is the perfect example of that, right?
It really is. It's a dish that, embodies history, tradition, innovation
Right.
all at once.
So well said. All right, as we wrap up our deep dive into Imperial Treasure Super Peking duck, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought.
Okay, I like it.
Beyond the crispy skin, the juicy meat, the centuries of tradition,
Mm-hmm.
what does Peking duck represent to you? Is it a reminder of, the power of culinary artistry, a symbol of cultural heritage? Or maybe a testament to the way food can connect us,
Yeah.
across borders, across
It's
generations?
something to think about.
We'd love to hear your reflections. Until next time, happy eating, everyone.
Happy eating.